world's toughest row sounds daunting just on the face of it. Previously known as the Talisker Whisky Atlantic Challenge, the race takes a crew 3,000 miles west from La Gomera in the Canary Islands to Nelson's Dockyard in Antigua. It involves constant rowing, with crew members taking shifts of 2 hours on, 2 hours off, for up to 70 days. At the midpoint, the rowboat will be closer to the International Space Station than to any landmass. More people have been to space than have rowed an ocean. The waves can measure up to 30 feet high, and rowers experience sleep deprivation, seasickness, salt sores, and blisters. I spoke with Intrepid232, an incredible crew of 4 Jersey mums who are training to complete the challenge this year. We talked all about the training, the costs, and what keeps them up at night. If you just want to introduce each of yourselves, tell us your name, your age, and maybe what your day job is.
Hi, I'm Julie Brady. I'm currently 59 and I work at the Jersey Financial Services Commission and I deal with funds in that department.
Great.
Hi, I'm Helene and I'm 55, soon to be 56, and I work at the Cycle Centre, bicycle shop in St Helier.
Hi, my name is Alison. I'm 59 and I'm actually not working currently.
My name is Rosemary Satchwell. I'm 55 and I work at Evelyn Partners as Head of Compliance.
And so I think my first question is, whose idea was it?
Both Helene and I had a discussion about it quite a few years ago and Helene said, no way. And then we spoke about it again and then we came up with the idea that it might be a good plan. And a lot of it was driven, I think, by COVID, where we were all locked down and you know the whole scenario, you couldn't go anywhere, etc., etc. So we thought, if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. So we introduced the idea to the girls, and they thought it was a fabulous plan, and we're all on board.
So how long have you been going with this idea now? You know, how many months has it been something that you've definitely been pushing towards?
I'd say about 2.5, 3 years ago.
2.5 years we signed up.
Yes, it's a long journey. There's so much to organise and trying to get sponsorship. We started that fair quite early on as well. Yeah.
So tell me a bit about the name Intrepid232. Where did that come from?
Intrepid232, the first part of the Intrepid came from when we were all swimming down at Bonwy and we saw this boat with its name called La Intrepid, and we just thought, the Intrepid, the meaning behind it obviously just resonated with us. And then the 232, that came about as we were thinking of the 250 Club, and then we thought, no, 232, that's the number of years, our combined ages when we start the race, so hence Intrepid232.
And you've been training for a while now. What's training been like? What kind of training have you done? How intense has it been?
We've been doing lots of gym work, really. I mean, we've all been quite fit and doing that sort of thing for quite some time. So we really ramped up our exercise programme at the gym with personal trainers and looking at that side of things really quite heavily a couple of years ago when we were getting more into it, because it was a longer process to actually get the Atlantic rowing boat, because we were buying a new boat which had to be built, and we only took delivery of that end of last September. So in terms of actual rowing ability, Rosemary, myself and Helene have been members of the Jersey Rowing Club and have rowed for quite a number of years in coastal rowing boats, so we've got a certain amount of rowing experience. Julie's completely not new to sport, but she's new to the sport of rowing. I mean, it's all basketball and netball previously.
Indeed,
So it's been a process to initially get Julie out in the coastal rowing boats to give you some experience of that. And since then, since October, we've had very few weekends that haven't been windy, in all honesty. So we haven't been out as much as we would have liked in the actual ocean rowing boat, but we've got the summer to really crack on, make up for that.
You said by September you have to have 150 hours on the water, is that right?
Yeah, the boat, that's part of the race compliance, and as our boat will be being shipped over to back to the manufacturers at the end of September, ready for its onward journey to La Gomera, we have to have it done by the end of September.
And are you on track to hit that target?
We're almost 1/3 of the way, but the beginning part has always been familiarisation with the boat, familiarisation with all the kit and equipment that's on board. So in certain aspects it kind of feels like a new sport. It's a whole different dynamic. So the initial part for the first 40 odd hours that we have done, it's really familiarisation on ourselves with the boat. And going forward then it's going to be longer rowing sessions where we'll do the changeovers and do the drills and things as we would expect to do them in the Atlantic. And hopefully do our cooking and stay overnight and stuff like that.
And have you had help from outside? Have you had people come in and help you train?
Yeah, so we've engaged a number of different people to assist us, obviously, with our huge challenge. Most importantly, what's been really good for us is sort of the community in general, the boating community, been very helpful. There's sort of loads of advice. If we need advice, especially as sort of members of the Jersey Rowing Club and sort of other areas. And then we've got some trainers that are on board and hopefully very soon coming to visit us to put us through our paces. So, and they're always available for us to call them. And, I think what's good about this is that the whole community in respect of the sort of ocean rowing are just really engaging and really helpful if, you need some advice on some areas.
And as someone who's a newcomer to rowing, Julie, how are you finding the process? Is it quite sort of 0 to 100 situation, or are you finding it, it's fully instead?
No, I've really enjoyed it. I've had a lot of help from a lot of people, just sort of trying to get the technique right and bits and pieces. I think everybody here is on a learning curve because, Rosemary has said it's a totally different sport, I think, from what even you're used to.
Definitely.
So I think I'm sort of on that area. I'm sort of on a level playing field with them in that respect, which I feel a bit more comfortable with.
And so you've mentioned, the boat, kit, equipment. Let's talk a little bit about how expensive this is all going to be, because I'm sure it is quite a cost to take on, not just in your personal lives, but I think in, financial cost as well. So how much has it cost, ballpark figure, or how much is it going to be costing you to do this?
I think the ballpark is around about 180,000.
Yeah. And are you funding that with sponsors? How is that process going?
Well, we're trying to get sponsors on board. It's quite an arduous process and it's really very, very difficult. I think anybody that's doing anything nowadays finds it incredibly difficult. I think in some ways where we're looking at it, because it's a global race and it's covered by media, Sky, Fox, all the media. The slight difference there is you're not necessarily asking somebody just to contribute something towards your charity, whatever it is you're doing. It's the opportunity to advertise on a global platform. We're basically a floating billboard out in the sea. And, it looks amazing. When you actually see all the boats initially, together on the start, and they've got the logos on and the branding, the media get really heavily involved. And what we found, having followed the race for a few years, particularly when crews finish, depending on where they come from, the media interest is absolutely huge. We've watched crews on, Lorraine this morning, all these sorts of programmes, Sky News, all the local media get really involved. So it's a good opportunity for a company to come on board, not just to advertise, but to actually feel that they're involved with something that's a little bit unusual.
Be part of the journey as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because the sponsors that we do have on board at the moment are so hugely interested in what we're doing and wanting to talk to us about it, and it's absolutely it's amazing. I mean, we are raising money along the way for two charities.
Yeah, tell me about the fundraising as well. What charity is that for?
So it's for the Grace Crocker Foundation, and it's also for
the Blue Marine.
Blue Marine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Blue Marine
ocean sustainability. Yeah.
And so is that just on top of doing this as well? That the funds, people can donate to that just to support you to
separately.
do it. Yeah.
Really.
Separately,
For us, it's about
yeah.
getting to the start line. You know, the sponsorship is to enable us obviously to get to the start line, but to also for companies to be able to promote themselves through our various platforms and through advertising on the boat. And then what a lot of crews have said in the past is that a lot of the charitable side of things comes in more when the race has started. We'll be conducting a social media campaign all through the race, and that's where a lot of people really get on board then and start donating to the charities, don't they?
Yeah.
Have there been any unexpected costs while you've been doing this? Because I know it's an expensive sport. Obviously, the boat was expensive. Anything that has cropped up that you were not expecting?
I don't think so. I think it's the accumulation of everything. You know, everything is expensive to do with boats, we've learned. So, yeah, the oars are expensive. Then you've got all the kit and equipment, and the amount of safety equipment you have to have.
And
phenomenal.
spares, all the
And
spares.
the spares, yeah. And the spares take up a lot of space. So, you know, you're not going to take a chance that something's not going to break. You're going to pay
We had
for
an
the spare and
idea,
you're going
though,
to pay
didn't
for it. We did have an idea. It's just when you look at the costs and the cold light of day, it's like, wow.
Yes, it's
Yeah. But then you've got things that I suppose you didn't really consider. So you've got, you know, trips over to the UK that we have to take to do courses. So you've got flights over there, you've got the accommodation, you've got the hire car. All of that stuff is just additional, I suppose, to some of the things that we didn't actually take into account, but it all adds up to quite a bit.
So you've recently been awarded the Clipper bursary. You were runners-up to the Clipper bursary, which was £500. What are you going to be spending that on?
That's going to go towards our medical kit, because the medical kit is pretty extensive, as you can imagine. So yeah, they've kindly given us that money towards that, which we're extremely grateful for.
Are there any worries going into this process ahead of December? Is there anything that you're a little bit concerned about, that maybe it keeps you up at night, anything like that?
How long have you got?
Because we noticed that on your website you've done a lot of work, and there's a couple of points where you said it's Alison and Helene who want seasickness tablets when they're out there. So that seems like something which maybe would be concerning.
We've been recommended some little patches you can put behind your ears, and I've
Okay.
got those on order for sure.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we both suffer. Not when we're actually doing something. When we suffer seasickness,
Yeah.
is when when we're locked
When you're
inside the cabin.
if you're inside the cabin, I think that'll be
I think
bad.
cabin's a very luxurious way of describing
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
box that we'll be getting into.
Like a little coffin.
I think what we've noticed when we've done a couple of our training rows is that we definitely don't drink enough water. We don't look after ourselves that way. So that's a big massive learning curve for us.
Yeah, nutrition is
Having our food. Yeah, definitely drinking enough water. We just got to make sure that we really keep that one.
I think as well we've considered the potential of the size of the waves that we're going to face, but we're kind of hoping that we get into that gradually, and then they'll be huge and we'll go, oh, it's not too bad. That's in my mind anyway.
We can't practice for that because
No, we can't.
you don't get those sort of conditions here. So
No.
that's the unknown for everybody, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
So how exactly does it work in terms of, you know, how many hours a day you're planning to row, and then do you cook dinner? How many hours do you sleep?
It's
do you
just
take
constant.
turns?
You don't stop. You do shifts.
Okay.
2 people rowing at any one time, 2 people resting.
Right.
And then turns will be taken with the ones resting to boil the water to make up the rehydrated packs and stack them up for the next 12 or 24 hours. So it's pretty much 2 hours on, 2 hours off.
Generally speaking,
Generally speaking, throughout the whole.
Plus, when you've got your 2 hours off, potentially you have to look at the batteries and make sure your navigation is right, and various little jobs to be done.
Check in with the safety team.
Check in with the safety team. Just make sure that that everything you anticipate is happening in the cabin is actually happening, and then either go to sleep or row.
So do you all have your own individual roles? Are you all in charge of a particular aspect?
We do have roles assigned.
Okay,
Yeah, we
so
do have roles
why don't we
assigned.
whiz through what are we each in charge of? Julie?
So my role, I'm going to be assisting Helen on the navigation, and then I'm apparently been charged with fixing anything on deck.
Okay, so you're a resident fixer.
Yeah, I'll be the resident,
vice navigator.
Yeah, with my little sort of toolbox. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing.
Wonderful. And Helene?
So my priorities in the navigation side of things, and safety check-ins as well,
Yeah.
I believe.
We're doing
I've been
safety
volunteered,
check-ins.
yes.
And nutrition.
And nutrition, I'm second to Rosemary for nutrition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alison?
I tend to be doing bits of all sorts really at the moment, sort of sorting all the paperwork out and the admin, helping Julie with the technical side of things as well. And then we're looking at all the PR and all the website and the social media. We're all learning bits of everything at the moment really, because you've got to really have one incredibly competent person and one person that really knows what on each different role really, in case somebody gets seasick or something happens.
Oh, I forgot to say, I'm cleaning the bottom of the boat as well.
A vital role.
You said that out loud.
You have indeed.
We also have our...
That's on record now.
I'm looking forward to it, actually, getting in the water.
We also have our watermaker course that we have to go on. So we're anticipating doing that in October when the boat's gone and we can't do any more training, and an electrical course. So we're all going in that.
Do you have a specific role?
Both Helene and I are doing the nutrition and the safety. Yeah.
Great.
Who's in charge of the medical?
I think I'm doing that actually.
You should probably figure that out.
That's quite a big one.
The thing is, there's so much to do at the moment, and yes, you want to have your individual roles, but you've also got to try and help each other. And I think that now that we're sort of more in the boat, it's easier to say, right, you two are sorting out the course that we're doing for such and such, which means that Rosemary and I will then make sure we've got all the food on board and the water on board, and make sure that everybody does that. So I'll probably end up doing more with the food with that, because you're going to be doing more of the nav.
That's a good point.
See what I mean?
See, we're deciding things as we go along.
But it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? You have to.
Absolutely.
And it is one of those processes that nothing can really be set in stone. You just have to go with it. And what we have learned as well is what will work for one crew won't work for another. So we can listen to advice, but we'll have to make our own minds up, because it's our role.
Yes.
Yeah. Talking about advice, we have covered and we've done a lot of work with the guys at the challenge last year, so Pete and Steve. Yeah, have you spoken to them about their experience?
Yeah.
What sort of advice have they given you?
To take a lot of red wine, Steve told me. No, they had a bottle of rum. They had some rum, and every Sunday they'd have a sip of rum. So we're thinking we should do something similar.
Yeah. Don't lose the loo bucket over the side. That can be a bit difficult.
Exactly.
And they all said talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's the key thing,
talking.
isn't it? Don't let things build up and fester.
Yeah.
Communication. And just enjoy it as best you can. It's I say once in a lifetime experience. I'm sure quite a few people seem to go back for seconds and thirds. But,
we do have, it's been really, really good. We've had lots of people in the community in various areas that have been really, really helpful. And it's really surprising, actually. It feels like a real community effort.
It's inspiring, because it's like they sort of, obviously we believe in ourselves and believe in our challenge, but it's actually inspiring that they believe in us, because they're volunteering and reaching out to us and say,
that's amazing, isn't it? When people come and say it's absolutely awesome, and we're like, okay.
Well, we've been in it
for 2.5
years,
exactly.
Immersed in it. But it's people who have done it previously as well, like the first ones that did it. So you've got Rob Cass and Ian Blandon and John Searson. They've been helpful as well, and they were the very first that did the very first race that happened. But we're lucky because there's so many people around that can help us and give us advice.
And have they given you any advice with things like sponsorship, financing?
It was a very much different ball game when they did it, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Completely different. And there's so many people out there now, so many companies don't do the same sorts of sponsorships anymore, or if they do, it's for members of staff or their own programmes. So this is why we're having to try and explain that it's more of an advertising opportunity as well as being, getting involved in our whole journey.
But hopefully quite inspiring to other ladies on the island. With no spring chickens.
I wanted to ask you about this. So I understand it's quite a personal reason to do it as well. I think, you want to prove that gender aid can't stop people from doing these phenomenal things. So is that something that you've noticed people saying to you? Is that something that you went into this really hoping to achieve?
Yeah, for sure. It's a difficult one, isn't it? So, I think our age is where, like we said, we're no spring chickens. We just wanted to show other people, other women that, if you really work hard, you can sort of, you can achieve and do whatever you want to do. It doesn't have to, you don't have to row across the Atlantic Ocean, but, don't give up on if you feel that you can't achieve that. you know, don't give up on that, mate. Just carry on despite your age, you know. Just work hard and you can get to where you want to get to.
Yeah, and I do think that the saddest thing would be, I wonder if I could have. You know, and it would be the regret of not having tried it. And it doesn't matter what it is. You know, if it's a leg in a marathon, if it's a whole marathon, it's a 10k walk. It doesn't matter. If you want to do it and you think you can, or, you know, you aspire to do it, then just go and do it. Give it a go.
Exactly, and I read on your website that, Helen, you had an injury back in 2016, was it? And so this is all part of rehab, and you want to show that perseverance and dedication. Is that something as well?
Yeah. I mean, I was almost in a wheelchair, so anything I can do now is a bonus. And I thought that would be like just taking it to the extreme. Doing the Atlantic would be the ultimate. It's just one of those things. I was just sitting there, and that, when I was thinking about it 3-4 years ago, and I think just everything just hit me, and I thought, I'm not in a wheelchair, I'm fit and healthy, I can actually row again, which I never thought I would be able to. And I just messaged Rosemary, and I said, I don't want to get to 75 or whatever and think, why the hell didn't we do it?
Yeah.
And she said yes. So there you go.
Fantastic. And I love how you're bringing sort of your personal lives and experiences into this challenge. And I'd be interested to know, because a couple of you work in finance, and how that is bearing on this. Are you bringing those skills to this business that you're running, you know, with sponsorship and things like that?
So are you sort of saying, are we very organised? And are we organised in our workplace?
Better ask your employer.
It's what I found through the process. It's almost, it is like having a second job, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If anything, you have to be sort of even like more organised, sort of having meetings, meeting potential sponsors,
maximising your time, really.
Really is, and it just and that I think it's that continuous perseverance as well with everything. It's almost like project planning. That's how I sort of view it.
Yeah.
Have you found that as well?
I have, and our employers have been really good. You know, they've been really understanding and very helpful. Mine have sponsored me, so it's really good. But yeah, it is a case of, right, I've got 8 hours to do this, just do it, because I haven't got time afterwards to stay behind, or, you know, my time is very, very limited in any free time. Well, yeah, free time, what's that?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
So you have a certain amount of time allocated to work, certain amount of time allocated to organising our challenge. You just have to do it in that given time.
And do some training in between.
Yeah.
Great. And you mentioned support there from your employer. What other support have you had, you know, from family?
They let us do what we want.
Because I can imagine it's something which, I mean, it puts the financial strain on you, but also, you know, it's quite a stress, isn't it? And you've got a lot to manage, and it's quite a big task. You're going to be away from families for a little while. Is that something that you've struggled with, that you've had conversations about?
Well, my lot are just looking forward to a holiday in Antigua at the end of it.
Have you all booked flights then at the end?
No, because you don't know when you'll get there.
Exactly.
So it's quite difficult.
No, my husband's been, he said yesterday he keeps dreaming about rowing. He's never sat in a boat in his life. Well, he has, but I had to get him out. But he keeps dreaming about rowing, and then he's getting stressed about me doing it, even though he was the one who mentioned it to me about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was his big idea to begin with, yeah. But yeah, the kids are interested and, you know, following us on social media and stuff. They have no aspirations whatsoever to do it, but yeah.
They just like to watch.
Yeah, they like to watch. Yeah, occasionally. Yeah, they're not that much into it, but.
Are they inspired by it as well? This feat that you're doing?
Yeah, they are. You know, my son started doing something he had never done before, so he started doing boxing, and he's looking to get back into rowing. So. Yeah, I think it's given them a bit of a push. What
about pressure on yourself? I think it's interesting to me that you're trying to break a record here. What is that record? And can you explain to me a little bit about why you're chasing that?
So the record will be that we'll be the oldest female crew to have ever rowed in any ocean, and I think we didn't set out for that initially, and then we realised that we had the opportunity to do that.
Because we're so old.
Because we're so old. So yeah, I just think, to me, like, could you imagine, like, just sort of saying, like, at the end, yeah, I've achieved this, I've done this. You know, we hold sort of a world record, even if it's for a year or something until somebody else breaks it. We
and then we'll have to do it again.
You know, we've achieved it.
I suppose it's turning a potential negative into a positive.
And how many days is it that you're hoping to do it in?
The eternal question.
You can all answer individually if you want, if you've got different perspectives. All right, Julie, why don't you start us off?
It's a really difficult question to answer because there's so many variables, but I'm sort of aiming for about 55 days, I'm hoping.
Helene, what about you?
I would say I'll be happy if we do it in less than 60 days.
Okay, Alison?
I'm going for less than 50. It's got to have a 4 in front of it somewhere. I don't care if it's 49 point, whatever it is. But the variables, it's the weather that can really make that difference.
And Rosemary?
I'm going for anything between 50 and 75.
Wide margin there, I think.
I just think,
We just don't know.
I just in my head, I just
Makes
need to
you
manage my
think about it.
expectations, that's all.
So it's obviously a tough time, lots of training, the weather's pretty harsh at the moment. What's the thing that's keeping you going throughout these times?
I think it's the support in the community. Anybody, lots and lots of people just are, looking to help us, offering to help us, coming forward with ideas.
And attending fundraisers as well.
Attending fundraisers, helping us with our training, so taking us out and helping us with, rough water training in ribs.
Just the support generally.
The general support, and we've been really, really surprised and delighted with it.
Yeah,
How many people have been interested and looking to support us.
I think the boat show really illustrated that for us.
Oh, completely.
Because it's a long time. You build up to 2.5 years, and you sort of as a team, we're the ones that have to inspire each another. And then down at the boat show, there was so many people interested in the boat, and interested what we were doing, why we were doing it. Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
It was a real community feeling,
it was a real
wasn't it?
buzz for me to say, come on, we really, really can achieve this.
And I think with 2.5 years down the journey, you don't get bored of it, but you're absorbed in it, and you don't realise, you don't step outside it. And I think the boat show helped us to do that. It's like, right, okay, we are doing something that's quite incredible.
Yeah, and the people actually sort of saying that to us as well, wasn't it? In general, just like, it's amazing what you're doing. Whereas we don't perhaps see it as amazing, because we have been on that journey for a long time. It's just something that as a team we want to achieve. Where they're sort of the comments we got were fantastic.
And so you've come a long way, but you've still got a long way to go, and hopefully we'll be behind you the whole way. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to the members of Intrepid232, Julie Brady, Alison Jones, Helene Monpetit and Rosemary Satchwell. And thanks for listening to the Bailiwick Podcast. Keep up with all the latest news by visiting bailiwickexpress.com or reading our sister publication, the JEP. More next week from me, Kelly Frost, and the rest of the team.